Hello everyone. This is Manunulart. Today, I am here to show you a simple tutorial on digitizing your lettering sketches, using Adobe Illustrator. I will be using this sketch I made on paper, and I will show you how to turn a simple sketch into this. While I will be sharing my process in Illustrator, you can also use some of the tips I included in this video in any software you prefer to use. I hope you like and enjoy this one. Step 1. Scan your sketch and import it in your Illustrator file. You can also choose to directly sketch in Illustrator using the brush tool, and you can also sketch in Adobe Photoshop or other drawing softwares. Next, you need to either use the pen tool by clicking the icon or pressing the P key on your keyboard, or the curvature tool by clicking the icon below the pen tool, or clicking Shift plus tilde key, to trace the sketch you pasted in your artboard. Personally, I use the pen tool when my letters have a lot of straight lines, and I use curvature tool when my letters have a lot of curves. It is up to you to choose whatever you prefer. In this art piece, however, I mainly use the curvature tool to trace over my sketch. Curvature tool is great in creating and controlling curves, especially when my letters are too bubbly. You can also use it to create straight lines and corners by double-clicking on a point. You can see me doing this method in the video while creating the broken pieces of the letters. You can utilize the pen tool when the line art of your art piece needs to be precise. In a future video, I will be showing you how to use the pen tool in creating precise shapes. For now, let us learn to work using the curvature tool. If you do not want to use either, and you have a drawing tablet, you can use the brush tool to trace over your sketch. However, I rarely use this method because it creates too many anchor points, even after using the simplify function, which makes it harder for me to manipulate when I am in my editing phase. Moving on to the next word, I still use the curvature tool to trace the shapes of the letters. In this part, I also tried to correct and edit the shapes I have drawn on paper, to make it look better. You can edit the curves while using the curvature tool when you click on any point you have created. Dragging the points in any place you want affect the overall shape you have created. Clicking on the line adds a new point, which also affects your shapes, so be careful. One reminder I would like to give is, use as few points as possible to create smoother shapes. It also saves you time from editing a lot of anchor points. I intentionally used the double-click method to create sharp corners in these letters, even though they are supposed to be rounded. For me, it's easier to use the direct selection tool later to round the corners rather than using and editing the curves made by the curvature tool. While working on the letters, I also edit some of the points, even though it is not my editing phase yet, so it would be much easier for me to edit later. You have a choice whether to do the same thing as I did or not. The curves in the letter S is kind of tricky. For me, it's the hardest letter to draw using the curvature tool, especially if you have modified its shape. Actually, I do not know if it is really hard or I just lack practice. Luckily, this art piece speaks a fun mood, so the shapes do not have to be perfect. I skipped over to the last word because I found it easier to trace. I used the double-click method again in some of the letters here so I could round them later. Zooming in to precisely trace the shape was a lot helpful in my workflow, and it might be helpful for you too. However, do not forget to zoom out, once in a while, to check the overall shape of your piece. Before I forget, you can use your space bar to pan over your artboard. You can also use Ctrl++ key to zoom in, and Ctrl+- key to zoom out. For Mac users, I am sorry because I am not familiar with your Illustrator hotkeys. I will try to put them in the description box, or if you want, you may search them yourselves. You can delete any point you created by clicking on it and hitting your backspace key. Sometimes, we do not really need that extra point, so it does not change the overall shape even if we delete it. However, if it greatly affects the shape you are creating, you can always undo it. Knowing when and where to put a point in creating shapes is an important skill you need to learn and practice. When you create an art piece, it will train your mind over time. With sufficient practice, your point placements will become better. I traced the broken crayons using the Curvature Tool. I also used the same tool to draw the details like the lines you saw on the end of the crayon. Unfortunately, I did not notice that I have turned off the recording while doing the next part, but basically, I just used the Shape Builder tool to turn the lines I created into shapes. I will talk more about the Shape Builder tool in my future videos. It is a great tool any artist who uses Illustrator can utilize. I also used the Shape Builder tool to create and delete the shapes in some letters like letter A and letter O. Next, I selected everything and pressed Shift+X key to turn all the strokes into a fill. You can also do this method by clicking the two-headed arrows on the top right of your colors. I usually do not have a color in mind first and do everything in black and white, but it would be helpful to pick your main colors first before creating an artwork. Once I have my color palette selected, I clicked on the letters and changed their colors using the Swatches tab. You can enable this by clicking the Windows tab at the top and selecting the swatches in the drop-down menu. Make sure that your fill color is active and not the stroke one, so it changes the colors of your fill and not the strokes. You can easily swap them by pressing the X key on your keyboard. Take note that whatever color on top is your active color. The last step is adding finishing touches. In this part, I edited some placements and spaces between the letters. You can also choose to add textures to the strokes of your letters by using the brush tool, or adding an overall overlay texture layer that adds a certain feeling to your piece. It might not have been recorded in this video, but I added some textures using the brush panel which I already posted in Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. With that said, if you liked this video, leave a like and subscribe to my channel for art-related content, especially if you love lettering art. I would also try to upload speed paints of my lettering art and drawings in the future. You can find and follow me in my social media accounts such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok with my username at Manunulart. I try to post finished artworks weekly. I am looking forward to interacting with all of you there. This is the finished art piece, Broken Crayons Still Color. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching.